Tonight, coronavirus marshals come into force in South Australia as local businesses adapt to the new restrictions. And Whyalla's new high school begins to take shape.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening. New COVID marshals have rolled into South Australia today as part of the state's increased restrictions. For many Port Lincoln eateries, it was business as usual as customers flooded through the doors.
Staff kitted out with new badges as the latest round of restrictions take effect. Businesses now required to have COVID marshals patrolling their venues.
We're here to encourage the people, not to enforce them. We're here to encourage our customers and make sure they enjoy the experience and they keep safe.
For businesses with excess of 200 patrons, they'll be required to have a dedicated officer, while venues under the 200 cap can have marshals who also undertake work duties.
We don't have a large group to have to monitor. We can still go about our usual tasks and complete our marshal duties.
Many Port Lincoln businesses don't reach the 200 patron limit. Some say because of that, they won't be at a disadvantage.
It's something that we've been doing for the last 3 to 4 months with all the new restrictions coming in. So it's just business as usual. Marshals will be required to be readily identifiable to police and patrons. Some eateries say there's been a lack of communication in what they'll need to wear.
We're supposed to be trading with all of this ready today, and even with our postage at the moment, you can't just buy a vest and have it ready overnight. So yeah, we're just making do and trying to do the right thing.
Today it almost looked like business as usual with customers flooding through the doors. All my staff are back at work, so we've re-employed 28 people. Things are on the improve. Authorities warn this new restriction is a preemptive measure to make sure everyone's doing the right thing. There is some complacency, and I think we need to make sure we sort that out. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Police are investigating a serious crash on the Air Highway overnight after a car travelling west rolled off the road. Emergency services were called to an area near Kimber at 8:30 after reports a Ford sedan had rolled several times into a paddock. The driver, a 77-year-old Kimber man, was airlifted to the Royal Adelaide Hospital with serious injuries and remains in a serious but stable condition. The car was towed from the scene. The investigation into the country travel allowance scandal has hit a roadblock, with the Anti-Corruption Commissioner accusing some MPs of delaying handing over information. Premier Stephen Marshall says he expects all members to comply. Nathan Regter has more.
South Australia's Anti-Corruption Commissioner Bruce Lander says his investigation into the Polly Perks scandal has stalled. He's accused a handful of parliamentary members and staff of not handing over information. Premier Stephen Marshall says all members should be cooperating.
The legislation is, particularly clear, and I expect every single member of Parliament to comply with those rules.
The corruption watchdog says some members and their staff are claiming material requested may be protected by parliamentary privilege. Bruce Lander says he doesn't believe the information would be protected, but says he has to respect the privilege. However, a decision won't be made until Parliament resits in September.
It is actually an issue for the Parliament to determine matters of privilege. Look, you're right, it would be a matter of Parliament resuming. We're coming back in 2 weeks' time.
The investigation began after it was revealed tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars had been incorrectly claimed. 2 ministers resigned over the scandal.
The investigation, which is currently underway, and I don't think anybody would expect that I would know about the investigation which is currently underway, but I can't be any clearer. The legislation is there. Every member of Parliament must abide by it.
When Parliament does resit, Bruce Lander's term as Anti-Corruption Commissioner will have ended, leaving the task to his successor.
Construction work at the new Whyalla High School is well underway, with the earthworks now complete and classrooms taking form. The builders say they're working hard to ensure the site is ready for a 2022 opening.
Framing the future for Whyalla students. This drone footage taken by Terry Kilday shows a bird's eye view of the project. Progress is being made with the first lot of classrooms taking shape.
What you can see behind me now is the concrete core walls for the 2 3-storey learning precinct buildings. We've also started the structural steel up to level 2 on building 3.
A stairway and lift also starting to take form. Footings are also being laid for administration buildings, a performing arts centre and a gym.
The government and the Education Department couldn't be happier with the prospect that we are well on track to deliver the most amazing educational facilities for students in the area that'll be open on day 1, 2022.
It's a busy site with 215 labourers employed overall, 80 of whom are working on site every day.
We've been really lucky to get quite a high component of Whyalla, local Whyalla people and people from the region, which we're really happy about.
The site will have Whyalla in its bones, using 650 tonnes of steel from the local steelworks.
It's been great to see Whyalla-sourced steel coming out of the ground to frame our education buildings, with suspended concrete floors are coming soon.
With the structure behind me well underway, the team at Serra Construction say they're working hard to prepare for the next stage.
So from here it's pretty much a continuation of what we're doing, working our way through the buildings. So structural steel will come over the building 4, we'll then pour our suspended concrete floors.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, Region's Year 12 students encouraged to study locally. And the Red Cross launches a new online parenting support service. Welcome back. South Australia's Premier has taken a swipe at Western Australia and Tasmania for not opening their borders. Residents from the two states can travel freely into South Australia. However, both are keeping their border closures in place until later this year. Stephen Marshall says families are being kept apart, and he's worried about the toll it's taking. With Year 12 exams just a few months away, attention will soon turn to planning their careers. Port Perry's Uni Hub is encouraging school leavers to consider studying with them next year and take advantage of their new campus locations.
The end is in sight for our region's Year 12 students, and Uni Hub staff have been working around the clock to promote what they have to offer.
It's a really important time for current Year 12 students and Year 11 students at the moment. Year 12s are looking for what they want to do next year, and Year 11 students are trying to work out what subjects they'd like to do in the future.
The hub continues to grow with new campuses established in Port Augusta, Port Pirie and Kadina. Uni Hub CEO says it's a relief for many rural students to have this option, especially during the current economic climate.
Perhaps with people that are maybe reconsidering whether they want to relocate to Adelaide or to a capital city for university next year, around, particularly given some of the concerns around coronavirus. Subject choices to help them get into tertiary study, please come in and see us. We can try and help everyone with whatever query we've got.
School leavers from last year are encouraging locals to consider it, saying it's been a positive option for them.
I didn't really want to go to Adelaide. I'm not really a big fan, but it's so much better just to stay at home, save some money and go when I'm ready.
Online classes continue to expand, allowing learners to tune in from the comfort of their homes or from the hub.
I'm doing one of the psychological tutorials that I'm enrolled in the Uni Hub.
Experts say tertiary education has no age limit, with mature age students also signing up.
Students have zoomed in from Port Augusta, so she's a mature age student studying psychology. She's in her 60s and just following up on some study that she did about 15 years ago.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The RAA says motorists are 3 times more likely to have a serious car accident on rural South Australian roads compared to metropolitan areas. They've released state government data, which shows 29% of rural crashes involve hitting a fixed object, with 15% involving a vehicle rollover. The insurer says regional crashes can be more catastrophic compared to accidents in Adelaide, as vehicles are travelling at high speeds. They're urging drivers to be vigilant behind the wheel. In a bid to support children through the pandemic, the Red Cross are hosting informational webinars for parents and caregivers. Port Pirie staff are urging families to use this service, saying it's been a difficult time for young people.
From bushfires to the coronavirus, 2020 has been a stressful time for regional families. Red Cross volunteers are now reaching out.
We know through COVID that there's been children that don't know how to respond to the situation, and quite often parents don't know how to discuss situations like COVID.
The charity will host a series of webinars beginning next week discussing how to support children through these times.
So it's really webinars to engage parents and to give them practical tips on how to support children through the COVID period.
Things like bushfires, it can be really, really tough for families. We know that kids who quite often are more vulnerable to the impacts of disasters can be struggling.
Many children's lives have been thrown into turmoil with a number of regular activities called off.
Particularly when local sport is cancelled. There's lots of questions for children as to why that is happening, and we know that sport for kids is such, it's a big social outing as well.
Organisers say the talks will provide parents with the skills to recognise stress and anxiety.
With some really kind of easy sort of basic tips that would help parents identify the signs of stress and distress.
Different conversations that we're not used to having. So it's going to be some real practical tips on how to have those conversations in a safe way and to make sure that our children are resilient to these things in the future.
More information can be found on the Red Cross website. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. A code blue activated in the Clare Valley for homeless residents. And Whyalla show organisers already looking ahead to next year. A code blue has been activated in our region to give extra support for those sleeping rough. It's been raised in response to wild weather forecasts tonight and over the weekend. The code implemented in the Clare Valley, where temperatures are expected to drop to near freezing. Emergency services such as Uniting Country can offer accommodation for the homeless in the regions during this period. Residents are encouraged to spread the word and help those who need it most during this period. Tomorrow was supposed to mark the beginning of the Whyalla show, which would have celebrated its 50th anniversary. Coronavirus forcing the committee to put their plans on hold, but organisers are confident the show will return next year.
A magical weekend of fun, colour and excitement. For many, it's a time to make memories with family and friends. However, Jubilee Park will be silent this weekend with the Whyalla show called off.
It is a little bit disappointing because this was actually going to be our 50th show as well, so it's a bit of a milestone and a really big achievement that a few years ago we probably didn't think that we were going to make.
The devastating decision made after spending months preparing.
We had already planned some of it, so now it's a case of going back and revisiting what we'd started.
But COVID-19 hasn't stopped the show completely. Show organisers asking locals on Facebook to share their memories.
What's your best food experience? The best attraction that you've seen out here? What would you like to see out here in years to come as well? They're
also calling for extra volunteers to help make next year bigger and better.
It takes us 11 months of the year to actually plan the Whyalla show. We run on volunteers, so we have a small group of hard-working community people that come out here and just give all.
In November we'll have our AGM. We haven't set a date yet, but we will be shortly, and then we'll advertise that through Facebook.
Locals can still enjoy a show bag, with the Royal Adelaide show making them available to purchase online.
This is really exciting for rural South Australians, as they would have had to have once travelled to Adelaide to access the full range of show bags.
Sophia Contigonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Purchasing tickets for Port Lincoln football matches could be moving online. The local footy league trialled the system during last week's Lincoln South Tasman match, as coronavirus changes the way the league manages crowds. Tickets are emailed to people, which are then scanned at the gate via mobile phones. It's hoped the system will be fully rolled out for the finals. Time now to preview the weekend's football action across the region. With their thoughts, here's our footy experts with their tips.
Hello and welcome to round 8 of SGL football. With just 3 matches to go, things are starting to get interesting. In Pirrie, it's the Lions taking on South in what I think will be a grand final preview. Back in round 2, when these two sides met, it was South that got over the top of Lions with an 8-point win. I'm tipping this is going to be a tough game here in Pirrie, and I think South will come out on top again. Up in Port Augusta, it's Central taking on Port at its Oval. Port started the season slowly, but have steadily improved. Central have struggled against the top 2, but have easily accounted for the bottom 2 sides. I'm tipping Central.
Just 3 matches to go in Whyalla football and a huge match on Saturday at Bennett Oval. It's WEEROONA Bay versus South Whyalla. Both are stuck on 1 win each. It's their last roll of the dice if they want to play finals. I think WEEROONA Bay's form in the recent weeks will see them win this one, but they need to win it well as their percentage isn't great. Saturday's other game at Memorial Oval, Rapina versus Central Whyalla. This should be a good game, second versus third. I sense Centrals will like their chances, but nothing to stop Roos winning another game here. And finally on Sunday, West Whyalla versus North Whyalla, first versus the fourth. West have been winning every match so far this season. I think that'll continue on Sunday.
Welcome to Port Lincoln Footy Tips. We've got 2 cracking games this weekend. The first one kicks off at Centenary Oval, where WAYBACKs are hosting Tasmans. WAYBACKs only dropped 1 game all season, but Tasmans are undefeated. They got pushed to the limits last week, and I think they'll bounce back. I'm tipping Tasmans to win this one, but a close game, less than 3 goals. In the next game, we've got Marble Range hosting Lincoln South out at Wongaree. Lincoln South won this game last time they met and pushed Tasmans all the way to the limit last weekend. However, Marble Range at home is a big task. I'm tipping Marble Range to win this one, but another close game, 2 goals.
Stay with us after the break. I'll have the day's finance news. And Britt will join us with the weekend weather details. Hello again, time for a check of finance. Oz Minerals fell by over 4% to end the week. CSL was down by 1.5%. BHP, Elders and Bendigo Bank also slightly fell. Iron Road rose by over 14%. And the ASX 200 and All Ords both finished the week just down. To the weather now, and it's set to be a weekend for staying inside, with a few showers and cold temperatures to cross the region. With all the weekend weather details, here's Britt with the forecast.
That's right, John. Perfect weather for a cosy TV watching marathon over the next couple of days. And I'll have more on that in just a moment. But first to today. It's been cool and wet with showers across the Spencer Gulf region. Port Augusta, Whyalla and Broken Hill all recorded the region's high of 16 degrees. Port Pirie reached 15 today, Woodna 14. Port Lincoln, Kadina, Cleve and Coffin Bay all 13, with a high of just 9 degrees at Clare. Looking at today's satellite images, we can see speckled cloud over southern areas with a cold southwesterly flow producing showers and the odd storm, as well as gusty winds, strongest in the southeast. A building ridge of high pressure kept skies mostly clear over central and northern parts of SA. And now to tomorrow, and there's a strong wind warning in place for the Spencer Gulf with westerly winds initially at 15 to 20 knots, but reaching up to 30 knots in southern waters later in the day. Seas up to 3 metres in the south with south to southwesterly swells up to 1.5 metres. Showers at Port Lincoln tomorrow with a top of 13 degrees. Much the same at Cleve, Woodna cloudy with a high of 15. Whyalla showers with a top of 15 tomorrow. Port Augusta also 15 but remaining dry. Kadina showers easing with a high of 14. Port Pirie showers tomorrow, a top of 13 degrees. Clare showers with a high of 10. Broken Hill partly cloudy and 14. Now looking ahead to Sunday, showers about the Lower Eyre Peninsula, Mid-North and York Peninsula forecast districts. Cloudy about the west coast, but mostly fine elsewhere. Cooler maximums again with a high of 15 for Port Augusta and Woodna. Whyalla, Port Lincoln, Kadina and Broken Hill all 14, Port Pirie 13. And now let's take a quick look into next week. Mostly fine across the region on Monday with possible showers about the Lower Eyre Peninsula. Maximums sitting in the mid to late teens. Tuesday, fine and partly cloudy across the board, a little warmer too with a top of 22 degrees for Woodna, Port Augusta 21, Broken Hill and Kadina both with tops of 17 degrees. And John, that's the weekend weather. It's back to you.
Thanks, Britt. And that's the local news for tonight and the week. Just a reminder, you can follow us on social media via our Facebook, Twitter and YouTube pages. I'm John Hunt, thanks for your company. I'll have updates later, and Louise Huber will be with you on Monday night. Have a great weekend. Good night.